last 3 tables have been perfect.
That you, as a maitre d', are useless.
Bring it on, Ramsay.
You know, as far as words go, Gordon Ramsay isn't exactly the most prim and proper cat.
That's great. Now get a move on, yes?
But when it comes to food, well, it's kind of like watching a virtuoso at work. So how did this famous chef end up in the kitchen? Well, Gordon's childhood was pretty rough. Grew up in government housing. His dad was an abusive, hard drinker. And by the age of 16, Gordon was out the door. But he had spent a lot of time playing football, or soccer, as you call it. And you know what? The boy had talent. For a little while in the early 80s, Gordon had a brief stint with the Glasgow Rangers in the Scottish Premier League, but a knee injury ended his career. So Gordon got into cooking. Now, over the years, he worked his way up in British and French restaurants, and by the time he was 26, he was running his own kitchen. But what he was also doing was making a name for himself, being a rather colorful and, let's just call him, a profanity-riddled guy.
Move down, you donut.
And you know what? A British television channel by the name of Channel 4 caught wind of him. So they started to make a documentary about Gordon and his restaurant called Boiling Point. Now, he was obviously a TV star, and that opened the door to a career that started really with kitchen nightmares.
I wouldn't even serve that to a pig, you know that.
Then there was Hell's Kitchen.
What the is that?
And his latest, the F word.
Lawson, just for 5 minutes, go and pick some strawberries.
And naturally, the F stands for food. Along the way, Gordon built quite an empire, became a multi-millionaire, dozens of restaurants around the world, written more than 10 books. But the one thing we know is it may be hard getting to the top. It's even harder staying on top. And a couple of his flagship restaurants were knocked out of first place on food guides. And now, with the economy in the tank, business isn't quite what it used to be. But in spite of it all, Ramsay keeps going. He's got a brand new book. It's called Gordon Ramsay's Healthy Appetite. Gordon Ramsay, everybody. Welcome back.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Thank you. Very well, good. Thanks for having us back.
It's a pleasure. Do other countries like you more than other countries?
Not like this. Amazing. Thank you very much indeed. I'm happy to be back. I love it here. Absolutely love it.
Nice little place, right? Pretty good. Nice. You've got a new book, but I'm going to ask you because I'm going to totally forget. Are you going to ever open a restaurant in Toronto or Canada or anything?
Definitely Toronto first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The rest of the country just went, well, F you, Ramsay. Like, you know.
No, I spent a couple of weeks in Whistler last month, which I had the most amazing time. Toronto is a short hop from New York, so yeah, it'd be like London, Glasgow. Yeah, Toronto, New York, sounds great, so definitely.
Do you have plans for that? Are you looking at it?
We're looking at 2 sites. I mean, it's an amazing place. It's got to be right. We want to invest in it, as opposed to just doing a consultancy and tiptoeing over it. I want to do it properly, so we get a chance to hang out a little bit more, George.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we can go running together.
You're running? You mean like physical activity?
No, but we can sort of lose a little bit of weight. And
yeah, you're back at that, eh? Listen, I bring it up a few times, but I'm fine.
Isn't it a polite suggestion?
I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind. I recognize this every day in the mirror where I go, what happened? This could have been good. So it could have been. So healthy appetite, but when I was going through this, what I noticed is I think you're using the word healthy than I think the way a lot of people use healthy in books now.
Yes.
And so what does it mean to you, healthy?
You know, I eat like a horse, so I graze all day long, so it's not a diet book. That's the most important part. And I think more than anything, it's a sort of different techniques, different styles, and it's how I eat at weekends with the children. And sort of Monday to Friday in terms of starting to cook dishes Monday, Tuesday and still eating them Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Not just on the back of a global credit crunch, but having that level of respect with humble ingredients and not getting used to flash ingredients like asparagus and strawberries 12 months a year. So it's a nice approach, and it's how I eat. Personally.
Does that include a squirrel casserole?
Oh, Christ.
As Ted Nugent has here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sad bastard. No, I mean, how can you eat a squirrel?
I know, I love squirrels. You can't eat them.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
You can't eat squirrels.
No, but I mean, they taste. I mean, it's like eating crocodile or ostrich.
Which
no.
is, I guess not.
No.
But I think what you bring up a neat point about eating food when it's in season, 12 months a year.
Crucial.
We keep thinking that we can have whatever we want, whenever we want, and that's
Dangerous.
not the best way, right?
No, absolutely, definitely. I'm just going back to the Whistler restaurant recently, the Araxi restaurant. Everything was localised within 100 miles. Yeah, all the fruit, the veg, even the fish, and then even the vineyards and the wine served locally within 100 miles of that restaurant was great. And if it's not available, then it's not on the menu, and it's as simple as that. And if that menu has to become smaller and more reduced, then the quality becomes better, because if it's not in season, it shouldn't be on the menu.
One thing we've sort of realized is that everything is political, and food is perhaps the most political thing. We know that the health guides and lobby groups play a big part of it. And one thing that you've addressed as supermarkets, and I think people don't fully understand the role a supermarket plays in their food choices. You deal with that quite often.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of dominate the local producer, and they make it hard for purveyors to sort of become somewhat artisan. You know, especially in Britain at the moment, we're going through this sort of humbling experience where we're becoming far more concerned with what's happening locally as opposed to globally, and everyone's reverting back to sort of the humble approach to ingredients. Hence the reason why we had the animals in the back garden for the children. I don't think they should walk into the supermarket and see.
Have you killed those animals yet?
I've killed them and eaten them. You sound like a vegetarian now.
No, I'm not a vegetarian. No. You raised these beautiful little pigs, and all I could think about was bacon. And then, but you had your kids. What was that? And the last time you were here, they hadn't died yet, but the pigs are gone.
The kids love a full English breakfast, and the pigs were. One was a sort of skinny little runt, and the other one was like a sort of big fat ass and a big mouth. So it was hard to name them, so we just called them Trini and Susanna.
Yeah, okay. There's the Gordon Ramsay.
No. Yeah, I named.
You did?
The turkeys were named after Delia, Jamie, and the one with the big breast, Nigella.
Really? Yeah. How did you come up with that?
How do I come up with that?
But you killed the pigs. Were your kids there?
Pigs? No, I didn't take them to the slaughter. Although I did bring back the tail for them, just as a keyring.
You're going to pay for that in therapy one day.
I know. It's either that. By the time I get back to the UK, the children are going to be vegetarian. God bless them. Normal by 12 again. But I wanted to show them that if you love sausages and you want a full English breakfast and you enjoy, back bacon and ham hock and you love, a good breakfast, then you've really got to know where that comes from. And that was an important message to them. And also, George, it was giving them a sense of responsibility because they clean out the pens, they massage their skin with baby oil in the summer, in order to protect their skin, and they got a purpose from it as opposed to taking things for granted. And they respected them in a way that they became not friendly with them, but they respected why we rear animals in the back garden. So it didn't go down well with the neighbours in the middle of the summer with a stench of shit smell everywhere. So, it was a bit off-putting.
Do your kids watch your TV shows?
No, I mean, normally, for obvious reasons, they sort of go out at 9:01.
Yeah.
Sort of, you've got a Morse code taking place for the first 59 minutes, bleep, 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 and then they catch a sort of tail end of it, maybe on a repeat. Or sometimes I come back and I watch them sneak in, and they're like in the cinema, and they're like, oh, we're just watching the F Word to see where Trini and Susanna were.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're watching Kitchen Nightmares, or they're watching, Little Britain USA. And
the TV thing is obviously it continues to go. And you had mentioned the ready to eat stuff. You got offered. I heard you were offered anyway, like a chance to put your name on the product, but you pissed off the supermarket guy.
Yeah, and also ready-made meals. I mean, not just on the back of the economy downturn. What's happening now? I mean, I'm a real chef, and so it means a lot for me to not become hypocritical in terms of that level of ready-made meals. We tried it once with freshly cooked. We have a production kitchen which we service the sort of plain food and the pubs and the gastropubs. But it's too important, I think, really, in a way that I stand strong for what I believe, and if it's not locally produced and in season, then it shouldn't be on the menu, and that should apply to a lot of restaurants.
What happened when you turned them down?
Yeah, there's a few sort of F words flying here everywhere, but I don't mean to sound facetious, but it wasn't about the money. It was about the principle, and that's what we stand for, I think, really.
What do you do, man? I mean, your last year has been. Everybody's been hit by the financial market and all that.
Yeah.
But your private life started to be tabloid. Everything got weird. Well, how do you deal with that?
It's hard, really, when you've got that invasion of the sort of fabricated checkbook journalism that takes place with that fascination in the UK. I mean, it's hard because, obviously, for legal reasons, we can't go into it. But at the same time, you've got to weather the storm. Yeah. That's when you take the kids to school, and that one morning a week, and there's 30 photographers outside with sort of, step ladders, and they're in the back garden, and all the trash is going through. And, at the end of the day, I've got a right to a private life like anyone, and more importantly, I get frustrated when there's exaggerated stories that get enhanced by open checks to sort of cane you, and it's hard. But I suppose whatever happens in the UK just instantly goes hits New York, and then it hits Australia, and then someone else mentions something in Australia, and then it goes off to Amsterdam, and then it goes to Cape Town, and wherever we've got restaurants, there seems to be a following.
So. You do what I do, man. I just plant false stuff in the garbage. I just put all kinds of bullshitty stuff in the garbage, and you never know what happens.
Serious.
Didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You were talking about being a real chef, and I know that you cooked at Downing Street, right? You actually
a few
worked
times.
but you were there for Putin. Did you cook for Putin one night?
Yeah, and I was there for the Prime Minister, Tony Blair and Putin. It was a huge lunch, and then...
What's that like, cook for that? I mean, this is Putin. For all you know, there could be dioxin in your soup and you're done.
Yeah,
you have to be careful.
That was amazing. The menu was more difficult in a way that it was sort of trying to keep a Russian theme in there. And then it was hard because it was also tough because you go into Downing Street kitchen and there's nothing. There's no pots and there's pans. There's no rubber gloves. There's no frying
pan. Model home. It's totally nothing.
Absolutely nothing. So you've got to bring everything and you're like lumbering this stuff through. And then you've got the sort of corporate sort of hospitality of Downing Street. It's very stiff, and all the butlers there, they sort of starch their wife fronts. Do you know what I mean? It's like that stiff, and so you can never tell anyone to in Downing Street, which is hard. So
I bet you did, though.
Oh, I slipped 2 or 3 out. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then was very fortunate last year to cook for that amazing Nelson Mandela birthday party, and that was amazing. So yeah, you're lucky to do it, but then at the time you don't think it's that important because you're so engrossed in getting it so perfectly done.
Is it a genuine pressure, though, when you know that it's a Mandela party or it's, Vladimir Putin, like, that this is going on? Do you feel it?
Pressure's healthy, really. I mean, the car got pelted on the way into Down Street because there's all these protesters outside, and you then start to realise, my God, it's pretty serious stuff. And there was a protest against the meeting, and there's all sorts of stuff going on outside. So you're driving up to Down Street and you're thinking, God. And the day before, I'd just run the London Marathon, so I was walking in like bloody Shrek, on the toilet, and I was like stiff as a board, and trying to go up the stairs, and there's no lifts in Down Street, so you've got to be slightly agile and very fit to get them down those flights of stairs. But it was nice, and then standing in between two very powerful guys like that, it was like, yeah.
Were they buddy-buddy? Could you see if they enjoyed each other's company?
Conversations were flowing high, and there were huge meetings going on. And flying from room to room, and it was just fascinating to be part of that. And I remember talking to the Prime Minister after it, and then 3 weeks later he came for his birthday at Claridge's and sat on the chef table. And then the security guards were outside the restaurant and outside the back door. So I said, look, feed the security guards. And then my sous chef came back and said, well, look, the 2 security guards outside. I said, yeah, the 2 thin ones. What are they going to have? He said, the vegetarian. I said, well, tell them.
Stick around, we got more with Gordon Ramsay. When we come back, we'll play 220. We'll see how he handles that. Ramsay when the hour returns.
The last 3 tables have been perfect. That
You, as a maitre d', are useless.
Bring it on, Ramsay. As far as words go, Gordon Ramsay isn't exactly the most prim and proper cat. I'm a profanity-riddled guy.
Move down, you donut.
And you know what? A British television channel by the name of Channel 4 caught wind of him. So they started to make a documentary about Gordon and his restaurant called Boiling Point. Now, he was obviously a TV star, and that opened the door to a career that started really with kitchen nightmares.
I wouldn't even serve that to a pig, you know that.
Then there was Hell's Kitchen.
That's great. Now get a move on, yes?
But when it comes to food, well, it's kind of like watching a virtuoso at work. So how did this famous chef end up in the kitchen? Well, Gordon's childhood was pretty rough. Grew up in government housing. His dad was an abusive, hard drinker. And by the age of 16, Gordon was out the door. But he had spent a lot of time playing football, or soccer, as you call it. And you know what? The boy had talent. For a little while in the early 80s, Gordon had a brief stint with the Glasgow Rangers in the Scottish Premier League, but a knee injury ended his career. So Gordon got into cooking. Now, over the years, he worked his way up in British and French restaurants, and by the time he was 26, he was running his own kitchen. But what he was also doing was making a name for himself, being rather colorful, and let's just call it...
What the is that?
And his latest, the F word.
Lawson, just for 5 minutes, go and pick some strawberries.
And naturally, the F stands for food. Along the way, Gordon built quite an empire, became a multi-millionaire, dozens of restaurants around the world, written more than 10 books. But the one thing we know is, it may be hard getting to the top, it's even harder staying on top.